lost in a class where everyone else seems to be doing just fine and they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and you just feel like you don't even know how to study to catch up? I definitely have, and it's a very discouraging feeling. So everyone needs to know how to study. Whether you're in grade school, college, or even if you're just in church, you need to know where and how to find the information that you need and how to retain it. So tonight I'm going to tell you a little bit about where you can look for information and how to pick out the most important pieces in that, how to organize what you're finding, and some other tips and tricks that you can use while studying. So I would like to begin by telling you about where you can find information and how to pick out the most significant pieces of information in that. First of all, you need to find reliable sources. If you're in a class, you should use the lecture notes or the textbook, because these are going to be the most relevant pieces of information for what you're needing to know for that class. If you're able to, you can also find databases like EBSCOhost or Academic Search Elite. You can also use other credible books and publications to help supplement what you're already studying. You should never use Wikipedia because it's not a credible source, and most teachers won't accept it as a source for your research papers. You also really need to know how to pick out the most important pieces of information in what you're reading. So you can look at items that are in bold or italics. You can look at vocab terms and look those up in the glossary. And Dr. Clark Jenkins recommends reading things 3 times. The first time you just read through and you don't spend a lot of time on any particular thing. And then the second time that you read through, you take notes and you focus on the primary topics of the text. And then the third time, you really want to hone in on the topics that you didn't understand the first and second times that you read through. If you're reading a piece of literature, you should look at websites like SparkNotes so that you can get a general overview of the story before you start, so that you can appreciate it more whenever you actually read it. You should also keep a dictionary handy, so if you're unsure about what a word means, then you can look it up, and you can make index cards so that you can remember those later. So now that we've talked about where to find information and how to pick out the most significant pieces, I'd like to tell you about how to organize what you're finding. It's very important to be organized while you're studying. So if you're doing it on the computer, you need to make files and make space before you begin so that you can upload your documents and notes without a problem. If you decide to take it on paper, then you should have a binder ready with everything that you need, like dividers and paper and all that. And either way, you should have labels with specific details, and you should stick to those so that you can find your stuff with ease later on. If you decide to take notes on the computer, Microsoft OneNote is a very good place to start. It's very helpful with lectures because you can easily watch the lecture and type it up at the same time. You can also copy and paste information or images onto your notes, and according to Kaplan University, you should use fonts that are difficult to read so that whenever you go over it, you can't just skim it. You have to focus in on those pieces of information. According to Mansfield.edu, the Cornell method of note-taking is one of the most effective. You leave a margin on the left side, and in the larger place, you write your notes, and then you write questions in the margin about what you've written in the note section. And then you cover up your notes and you ask yourself the questions that you've written. Some people also like to draw, so you could draw diagrams or mind maps to help you connect ideas, or you could draw doodles to just help you remember what you've written in your notes. So now that we've discussed where to find information, how to pick out the most important pieces, and the organization of your notes, I'd like to discuss some other tips and tricks of studying with you. As I said before, organization is really important in studying, so you should consider color coding things or using symbols. For example, you could use a blue highlighter for vocab, a yellow for dates, or however you decide to do it. It's just so you can identify the importance of a topic, and it helps draw your eye to that specific information. You could also make or find a song. YouTube has a lot of songs, whether it's on scripture, anatomy, or even the preamble. You can find a song about anything, and it helps you recall the information while you're taking your test. According to Khan Academy, teaching someone else the material is one of the most effective ways of studying. So you could create a presentation with key phrases, and that way you have to memorize the most specific details and then explain it to them later. According to Greatest.com, you should switch locations when you're studying so that you can associate information and recall it easily later. You can also make up a story to memorize lists or operations. In conclusion, studying is an important skill to have, whether you're in school or not, but most people don't know how, and they stress over tests and essays. But tonight I've told you about where to find information and how to pick out the most important pieces, how you can organize what you're finding, and some other tips and tricks that you can use while you're studying. Learning how to study and the techniques that suit you best will significantly ease your struggles in learning new material. I urge all of you to find effective study habits for yourselves so that you may benefit in gaining knowledge and saving time and avoiding stress.